Welcome to the Big Kickoff Sports Bar. Myself, Roy Shanahan. We've got Neil Dobbs, David Bugle and Nathan Doyle with us tonight. World Cup Qualification Group A, Portugal versus Republic of Ireland, and our hearts are broken. It's actually, I know we're supposed to be on telly here, we're supposed to be cheering everyone up, but it's a hard one. Dave, I'll go with you. It's kicking the teeth, isn't it?
A kick in the teeth, but I'll put the reality hat on for a minute. When the first goal went in, I was gutted, but I'd have took it because it's probably what we really deserved the second half, the way they turned the screw and whatever. But it's when the second one went in, is like where you're just saying, is there any justice? So in the greater scheme of things, a point probably was the most deserved result, regardless of when they scored. Because we played well in the first half. Second half, we tried it again, but just Portugal showed their class. There is a difference. There's no two ways about it. And as hard as we tried, they really did turn the screw, and we rode our luck a little bit. But you know, I know others are going to go into it, but let's be honest, the draw would have been at minimum a great result for us in the greater scheme of things. But just when the second went in, it's just soul destroying. Like after watching them grind it out for that long,
Neil, did you get that feeling in that second half that this was going to happen anyhow? Or did you get your hopes up at some stage?
No, they did. They raised me hopes and then just gave me a giant kick in the backside or in the front side, depending on where you felt it most. It was sick. I genuinely thought kind of 10 minutes ago we were going to hang on. I didn't feel too worried. I thought we held them up well. We slowed the game down well, and we kind of reduced them to these kind of crosses, but from funny angles. But then we just dropped that extra maybe 5 yards, 10 yards, and we allowed them to get to the byline twice and pull some crosses back. So where I was comfortable crossing, 25, 30 yards out, because Ireland can deal with them. They've got some big lads in there. It was less comfortable when we allowed them go deep and then they set a couple back to the edge of the box and crossed them in. And I mean, it's just very rarely to see an Irish team with three lads at the back that are very good headers of the ball concede that type of goal. But credit to Ronaldo. He's really strong in the air, and he proved it there tonight. Unfortunately, I thought he was washed up and finished, but then he came on strong. What can you say? Sickener.
Yeah. We'll have a look at the second half and how the game finished and all a little bit later. Nathan, first half, tell us what you've seen in the first half, what you thought of the starting team and the first half performance, really.
I suppose, the starting team. The rest of the boys chime in if you disagree. But in the goalkeeper position wasn't really up for much debate, especially when Mark Travers dropped out that illness. It was always going to be Bazoo new. He's playing on a regular basis, even if it is at Portsmouth, at least he's playing. But Kelleher, I was going to be struggling ahead of Allison at Liverpool. It was always going to be him. Back five, probably the best options that we have, really, isn't it? If we're looking at them five defenders in the Ireland squad, it's the midfield. The midfield is the one we're the weakest. A lot of people obviously complain online, even ahead of the game, that Jeff Hendricks was in the starting 11, but you could have rotated him, Harry Arthur, Conor Horahan. They're all having the same issue. They're all not playing at club level. Now, look, Malumbi and Arthur both got moves away, just around deadline day. So even for the Irish setup, to see them two lads get a move and hopefully be playing on a more regular basis can be good. But yeah, look, the game as a whole, actually, even on the starting 11, I don't know about you, I thought Troy Parra was probably a little bit hard done by to not make his way in. Again, Connolly, you sort of know what you're going to get from him, don't you? A lot of running, a lot of busyness, but the end product was,
you don't know what you're going to get from him, Nathan. You don't know what you're going to get from him. I'm going to leave it at that because I won't stop if I go on about him.
Yes,
I go on about his performance for Brighton 2 weeks ago, and that alone shouldn't have made him even near the effing squad. He is as bad as his hair, lads, and I'm saying it. I put him in the bracket as Shane Long, but I'm going to apologise for Shane Long. He's not even. He wouldn't even lace your boots, lads.
Yeah. Just go on a bit more about that, Dave, because
he ran the ball out of touch, right? When he wasn't under that much pressure. I don't think I have to say much else. When he has time, the brain implodes, lads. If he's an instinct, if it's do this, he'll do it. If you give him time, everything just gives up. Ida had a tap in. Ironically, he got the corner for the goal, but the pass was there about a second earlier than that.
Yeah.
But God love him, he had to think, you see. And then the only time he made a decision was when the ball was about to go out of play. When he has time, he doesn't do a thing. It's as simple as that. I think the only thing when he has qualities is when it's just pure instinct, and even still, that lets him down from time to time. And then, but I'll say it, Dunn came off, and then Dummer came on, and that's what. Unfortunately, we have too many of them, and he kind of did his bit as well, to be honest, when he came on. So.
But even going back to Connolly, like on the hour mark, I know we'll talk about the second half in a bit, but there was a big penalty shout, wasn't it, involving Connolly? But the fact he got ahead of his defender, and for me, the penalty shouldn't be able to question. He got it in front of the defender, 1-on-1 through on goal, and he hits it wide. Like, it's just anything I've seen him play for club or country, the end product, and like you said, the final decision-making process, it's non-existent.
Well, what I find with him is that he seems to be more focused on trying to get a penalty or a free kick rather than trying to skip by someone, open up a team, and maybe lay it off. So I don't think his head is in the right place. I don't think he knows what he's as you said, what he's supposed to do. So he has so many good attributes, and that's the thing. He's got great pace. His touch isn't bad. He goes at people, but yeah, his end product is not there. It's non-existent. So. Yeah, it's probably one of the lower points of the team would be for me. Yeah, Connolly. I don't. He works hard. And the thing is, you'll get the whole team work extremely hard. Would you be on the same wavelength about Connolly?
Yeah, I think, remember we, probably a year ago, we were trying to pick our kind of best 11 coming into this tournament. And we may be seeing Connolly coming in off the right if he had played a kind of a front three or maybe a midfielder. But yeah, Connolly, he just, like the lad said, he just makes some really, really stupid decisions in the final third.
Yeah. Duffy better than Virgil, Dave.
Tell you, Egan was better than Virgil tonight. There's a couple of Virgils out there. You'd be
counter-attack there. Did you see?
Bamadelli would have gave out version of one for his money.
Yeah, Egan was unbelievable. There was a cross came in from a counter-attack and he nods it down. You're like, where did he come from? What was he doing up there? Fair play to him. But Duffy made a few mental blocks today as he does best, so fair play. He was impressive.
Yeah. So on a whole, Dave, when you look at the performance, and before we go into the second half, when you look at the performance overall as a team, I mean, RTE and the commentators and I'm sure Liam Brady and I'm not getting a chance, but I've kind of heard a little bit of them. They're praising the team. It's a young team. They've done fantastically well. They've played brilliantly. Is that what you agree with?
For what we have, we played as probably as well as we could, 100%. And I'm being positive about it. I'm not really being negative apart from one player, because I've watched it for a year or two and I'm not waiting anymore. And that's the only reason why I'm saying it as I am. I made my mind up 2 years ago and he's still doing it. And that's what frustrates me. But on a whole, yeah, the first half, there was some very clever moments where what would have happened before. They'd be just hoofed aimlessly. And there was one or two, I think Cullen did one or two. They all had their moments where instead of that aimless down the line and run the striker ragged, they were clever and in the right place where we could get on the ball and give ourselves the chance to survive 90 minutes. Because that's why Kenny, and he did it with Dundalk, he plays in a way where you try and be clever and hold on to the ball as long as you can and be a bit, especially when you're against better sides, because that extra couple of seconds gives the back line that chance to compose themselves, push themselves up a bit further and last 90 minutes. That's probably why we held out a lot better than what we usually would under O'Neill and Trapattoni and everything, because we would have just been sitting back the whole time, knocking it long and then it coming back constantly. While we gave ourselves a bit of respite, and that's why he wants to play that way in all games, not just against the weaker opposition. It's against them as well. So it gives us that chance to play the full 90 minutes as best as we can, because we are going to be up against it. So that's why we nearly hung on. But as I said, for the first half and for bits of the second half, yeah, it was a fine performance for who we are against Portugal. Let's be honest. Even when we bet Germany, don't kid ourselves. They battered us, and it would have been the same tonight. It would have been a 1-0 win, but we got battered in the second half. So that's how we beat these teams. And let's be honest with ourselves. But the way we did it, I was really impressed with, because it gave us, in my opinion, the best chance to win. And that's to give us that little bit of a break in the back line. Let the lads get up a bit, 5 yards more. Because you've seen once or twice when Ida was even staying centre half after clearances, no, come on, push another few yards. That's when you were getting nervy and the heart was going. So overall, performance-wise, it's as good as we can do against teams like that. And yes, luck and other bits and pieces that we're going to go into could have made it a memorable night.
Yeah. Nathan, the penalty, was it a penalty?
Splitting hairs, I don't think so. I didn't. Not only did I not know, the ref didn't seem to have a bloody clear word, did he? How long it was one of the longer VAR. I know we watched the football shows, you three lads do on a Sunday, and VAR is a fairly popular topic. But yeah, it was one of the longer VAR decisions that I've seen. Personally, I didn't think it was a penalty. I was surprised even. I know Ronaldo had a bit of a swipe out as well, didn't he? At Darragh O'Shea leading up to the penalty. Surprised that it wasn't even pulled back and checked. The commentator sort of alluded to. It was Ronaldo's night, wasn't it? Setting up to the game, it was Ronaldo's night. It was all talk about the goal, and he had one more goal to break the international record. It was Ireland, but just sort of a backdrop in this big story leading into the game. So, yeah, for the original question, I thought I didn't think it was a penalty. There wasn't an awful lot in it for me. But yeah, I was surprised that he didn't go back and check the Ronaldo situation. And it seemed to rattle him, didn't it, for about 10 minutes, the whole, the stopping and the starting, and Bazunu pulling off a brilliant save from the penalty. So, yeah, what could have been?
Yeah. Neil, when you look at the game, you look at the age of VAR, in any other game, whoever slaps someone across the face, they're getting sent off. I know this is a big conspiracy theory, but this was really Ronaldo's night, and I can't. I listen. If I said what I was saying in front of the telly, and the children had to be moved out of the room because I wasn't a happy camper, it was just it's unforgivable. And do you find that, or is it that I'm just being a little bit defeated by the result? But it seemed to me that there was absolutely no way in hell that they were going to look at that or send him off.
No, I think I hate, and I really do hate, and more so, it's like sour grapes when you lose the game. But I hate when you come off a pitch in any way, shape, or form, be it looking to Premier League or out yourself on a Saturday morning, and you have to blame a referee on something, or you have a niggling suspicion that the referee did one over on you. But definitely, I think tonight there was enough evidence there. He played extra in the first half despite 5 extra minutes. He was in no rush to blow up. He was in the second half then when Ronaldo got his second goal. I might have misread the lip read, but I could have swore when Ronaldo was putting back on his jersey, the ref said sorry before he gave the yellow card, right? Yeah. That's absolutely. It was like he was overawed by him. He gave them all the time, and there were, what was it, a minute and a half or something like that extra on top of the 5 minutes. There was no way, as you said, they were going to leave that field without at least getting a draw. And again, every decision. Now, I don't know, was it clever Portuguese editing in the studio? They didn't show any of their kind of contentious decisions, and then all of their decisions, every penalty. There was one there where Pepe was pushed in the box. There was nothing, absolutely nothing, and they were checking it for a penalty. Whereas Conley went down, and there was a little bit of contact. I don't think it was a penalty either, but it was like 3 seconds, and that was enough. So it really left a sour taste in the mouth, thinking, that game was too big for that referee tonight, and I definitely do think it was.
But this is the thing, Neil. It's not just the referee. VAR is not the referee. So again, it seems that they're kind of overlooking what you should be. It's a blatant slap across the face. Doesn't matter how hard it is, or you can't raise your hand to someone. So he should have been gone, and they certainly would have, struggled without him, because he's the only fella they go to for goals. They don't really have goals elsewhere.
It's hard enough for the smaller teams, right?
You would think, but generally it's Ronaldo who comes out and scores the goals for them.
Yeah, it's hard for the small team in any way, shape, or form when they're going out to a place like that to get a result. It's like if you watch the Premier League and you watch one of the top 4 versus one of the bottom, there's always a bemoaning fact of, we didn't get the referee decisions, we didn't get the big decisions on the day. And that definitely felt like one there tonight, where the whole thing, as Nathan was saying perfectly, it was almost set up for Ronaldo to break this record. Everyone knew it. There was a kind of a tension around him tonight. He didn't look himself, I don't think. There was a lot of moaning going on until it eventually, of course, all, kind of fell his way. So it's just, it's hard enough when you're Ireland going out there scrapping. Like, a point to us tonight would have been invaluable, absolutely invaluable. And then 96 plus minutes, you can see the goal. Oh, it's just such a sickener, it really is.
Yeah, and that's a point that Mick says there, getting
Yeah.
a free kick outside the box when
Yeah.
it should have been the corner. I mean, they hit the shot at point blank range, hits off his hand and goes wide, and he knew that was offside. He just kind of, we never say this on this show or on the football show, but it was so blatant, as you said, to say sorry to a player for booking him. That just shows that he shouldn't be refereeing. He should not be refereeing at the highest level. He should go out to the Phoenix Park and get a little bit of slagging from the locals.
No, we have enough bad refs in this country, Roy. We need to fucking talk about that enough. Jesus, no, don't come to Ireland. Christ.
Dave, just before Ireland scored, your buddy Connolly went through, took a bit of a heavy touch and then delayed it. Again, I don't think it was instant. He was waiting to see, and I think he tried to chip him then. The ball was too far away, but it was a great opportunity.
It was a great opportunity, but Ida was there a second or two earlier and arms wide, and the goal was open, and he took it on a bit longer. I don't know if he was trying to take the shot in the end. It's hard to tell, or if he was, it wasn't hitting the target, that's for sure. But it was a good passage of play. Cullen broke it down twice and put one lovely little ball over the top to him, which is what I'm saying is the difference compared to what we would have done before. And give ourselves that opportunity when we do get that one chance, we take it. So, it got us the corner, and then of course it was great to see Egan doing what he did, and even ahead of Ronaldo as well. It was just a great moment, and then you're just like, oh Christ, here we go. It was like a horror movie coming into the second half. The cushion came up closer and closer to the chest, and I wanted to just be anywhere other than watching the game. It was terrible because you kind of knew what was going to happen, but it was that time in the game where Ireland were starting to fancy it. They were starting to get comfortable. The passing got a bit sharper. The passing in the back at the back got a bit sharper in the sense that, right, this is the time to knock it long, because obviously we rode it a little bit too much in the first, like whatever about Bazunu and the penalty, he got us into that mess. Thankfully, he got us out of it with the short pass. First 10 minutes is the one time you kind of go, be very sure about your passing, but if you're not, let it go. It's the one time you do, especially don't give them any hope, or not any hope, but any belief that it's just because I think one of the big things in the first half, I definitely think they thought this was going to be easier. I felt they weren't that sharp. I thought even Ronaldo tried to take on a few players, which he doesn't really do as much anymore. He got one-on-one with Cullen and didn't get past them. And I thought, yeah, these fancy this. They don't rate us too much. And then all of a sudden they get tick as soon as everything starts going against them. And it was great to see them getting that frustrated. And obviously they gave us the respect in the second half, as you could see. So, first half was just a really good display by ourselves, and we got into it, and hence, obviously, why we got the goal from.
Yeah, and Dave, the goal, which was Ronaldo-esque with the header, it was an unbelievable leap from John Egan. A brilliant goal, brilliant header. But going into the second half, then, as you said, we're all as nervous as shite because we've been here, done that. This is a scar that we've had before. Nathan, why couldn't Ireland play in the same manner in the second half as they did in the first half?
You can always, point to things like just Tydon's going to play it effective, isn't it, in the Portuguese. He even looking at the two Portugal goals in the build-up, and like Dave was saying at the top, while you just want to say, it's disappointing, to be a little bit critical about it. The first goal, I think it was the first one, McLean got taken past very easy. He got skinned fairly easy, didn't stand up too much, could just stood there. And then the second goal, I think we were talking about before we came on here, ball into the box, and really, if we're being critical on Jeff Hendrick, he should just put it out for a corner, put it into Rozier, but sort of tapped it back outside the box, didn't clear his lines properly. So it was, for me, it was individual errors more than tiredness or lack of shape that cost us in the end.
Neil, possession was big difference between the first half and the second half.
Yeah, I was just checking the stats there on it. So we were roughly 60-40 first half. As Dave is saying, I don't really think Portugal gave us the respect. I don't think they gave us a tempo that we couldn't deal with. So we had a lot of ball around the back line mainly, but I don't think we gave away a lot of cheap ball. There was very few times, and we've seen Ireland in the past kind of launch 60-70 yarders and you're chasing them out with play and stuff. We were intelligent in the way we used the ball. Second half, we did drop off a bit. I think that might have been due to, say, Matt Doherty, Seamus Coleman, they switched their formation. They pulled Jota off the left to try stop Seamus Coleman, I think, getting up the line, which was maybe clever. But we dropped to about a 72-28 possession, which, in any second half, it tells you, a story that you're under the cosh a little bit. But again, credit to Portugal that they felt they needed to go for it at this stage, and they had a little tactical tweak there, I think, to stop Coleman coming out as much as he did.
Yeah. Dave, when you look at the chances that Portugal had in the second half, there was a couple of them that maybe should have rattled the back of the net.
Bernardo Silva's was the ultimate. To not even hit the target from that yardage was just incredible. Obviously, going back to what Colin said about Duffy, he made a few mad Colin Hendry-esque blocks as we know he does, but that was the one that really hit it. I think the greatest thing for us, just to kind of, I don't think it was just to stifle Coleman, to be honest. It was because Ronaldo started coming out that way because Adrian Silva came in. And that was probably the best thing for Ireland. It got Ronaldo away from the middle, because look what happens when he's in the middle. So I'm a bit surprised that they did that. If you're going to put somebody else on, maybe somebody else wide to help provide for Ronaldo, because it took him out of there, and then you see what he was trying to do, potentially take shots from city angles. Now, we did try and put in one or two nice crosses that just didn't come off, but it was working in our favour, and then of course he drifts back in, and we know what he did. But
Jota was quite good in the left edge. Do you think Jota was good in the first half, and then Ronaldo almost went out there himself?
Silva coming on made Ronaldo go over a little bit, and then that kind of took Jota out of the game more so than stifling Coleman, I think, to be honest. And it worked for us, unfortunately, not for the full 50 minutes or 51 minutes in the end.
Is that, Dave, is that something the manager should have looked at? Like tactically, you look at Ronaldo then started playing off the back of Coleman instead of, trying to compete with Duffy or Egan. Is that something that should have been, especially in the last 10 minutes or so, you stick with Ronaldo, end of story, stick with Ronaldo? Or do you, cause that, it didn't seem that he was being man-marked?
No, and I think because he wasn't causing us any problems, and he wasn't really causing us any problems. But like I said, now maybe it's because he came from wider, and hence it was harder to mark. But I don't know whether he was sitting in the middle for both goals. I wasn't really watching 15, like the 10 or 15 seconds beforehand. So maybe he was coming in off the left or right.
Well, in the second, for the second goal, he was in behind Seamus Coleman, then made the run in front of him.
Well, there you go. That's obviously what he was trying to do to get a bit of joy, because he wasn't getting joy off the lad. So yeah, of course, now to say that, put one of the bigger lads on him, because that's going to come in. But that's obviously what he needed to do to get some joy, and him and Messi are still the two best players in the world, and that's what he had to do, pick on the little guy. Yeah,
Nathan, tactically for the manager Stephen Kenny, how do you think he fared out?
I think it's for me. It's the best formation to go with this current Ireland squad. I think the back five suits him. For me, going forward more so than defensively, Coleman had a really, really good game. You could see he was trying to, like Dave was saying earlier, the midfield sort of gave that little bit of protection instead of just relying on the centre half to hoop the ball forward aimlessly up to it, like Aaron Connolly, that's never going to guess at him. Look, as gutting as it is, and it really is gutting. Isn't it? Again, I'm sure you will agree. It's a different sort of gutting to the Luxembourg game. You look at the Luxembourg game, and you were gutted in a way. You were really embarrassed as Irish football fans and football fans in general. And look, we can sit here and say and be critical about the standard and style of Irish football over the past 30 years, whether it's been successful or not. But this is a difference. This is, while it is gutting, it's just sprinkle a bit of hope in there, isn't there? There was a lot of the younger players sort of stepped up today and showed what they can do, whether that it was in spells or for the majority of the game. So yeah, it's difficult now to be positive, but there's definitely signs there. There definitely is signs. I've been a fan of Stephen Kenny in this job from the word go. When we were on a horrendous run, losing game after game and struggling to score, I still thought it was the right call to stick with him. I still think you should stick with him until at least the end of this qualifying campaign, because there was definitely some hopeful signs, and I think we will see that more even tomorrow and the day after when the disappointment does go away.
Who impressed you, Nathan?
You're going to have to give it to one of the two centre-halves. Angela Johnny Egan was immense today. But even away from the defensive performance, Adam Eder was excellent up top. Again, trying to take the League of Ireland boys' hat off me. I didn't think Jamie McGrath, I didn't think he looked out of place at all in that midfield. But yeah, look, the night belongs to the centre-halves. Both Duffy and Egan were brilliant. And same Bazunu, we know he got himself in trouble for the penalty to start off with. But some brilliant saves by him tonight. You know, the penalty, the Ronaldo free kick. I thought the Jota header at the end of the first half was a save, and Jesus, I was would have been
a worldie.
Unbelievable. Him and the Manchester City starting 11 for that save alone, but no, unlucky just hit the post.
Yeah. Neil, was there anything Stephen Kenny could have done in the second half to, I suppose, not sit back in the manner that we've seen time and time again from Irish sides, from O'Neill and Trapattoni and even McCarthy at times in his second spell? We were so effective in the first half pushing forward, and Dave alluded to that maybe because Portugal weren't in their top gear, but do we give more credit to Ireland? Could Ireland have done more? Is it just because they were leggy? Did they need to change some of the personnel just to get some energy out on the pitch a little bit earlier?
I think, as Nathan said there, I think Ida had one of his better games, as in, I have it written down here, 77 minutes. There was a kind of a 70-yarder hit up, and Ruben Diaz was right up his backside, and he just held him off, took a lovely touch out of the air. And then about 2 minutes later, it was Pepe did the same thing, and he just took a ball down, shielded it, and laid it back. But I remember on the second one thinking to myself, there's no one near him. We're just not getting up as close as we can to him. I think Connolly was gassing out at this stage. So maybe to refresh the midfielders a little bit quicker. I know Kenny was giving out murder. Was it on the first goal that he was trying to get the subs on a bit quicker and they weren't allowing him from the sideline? Ronnie Whelan said in commentary, obviously we couldn't see that. But maybe it's not a criticism. Obviously he's playing it as he feels it from the sideline. Hindsight being brilliant and all that, but maybe a fresher injection of legs a little bit quicker, because as the game went on, possession dropped, and we just them little moments of getting the relief out of the back line, the long ball, letting it stick, but not just getting it stick. Whereas the first half, you had overlapping runners. Seamus Coleman, like 4 or 5 times in the first half, broke quicker than everybody to get up to him, whereas he needed 1 or 2 more. James McLean, maybe that type of guy, that type of energy. Maybe a little bit quicker. That's all really. It's not a criticism, just maybe something that he'll think about and have to do with the game on Saturday, game Tuesday. They won't be as fresh. So maybe he'll have to introduce them, keep it fresher a little bit quicker.
Yeah, in saying that, Neil, James McLean came on and he didn't get that block in for the first goal. And it was the only thing that his job he had to do. He could let him turn and go backwards, but he didn't get that block in. And they're crucial moments. It's
funny you say that again. If I've written down 88 minutes, James McLean, he just got, your man stole a little yard. He sold a dummy to him. Maybe the James McLean of old would have had a man broke up with one of them challenges of him and he would have been all over him a bit more, or maybe he's just not playing. He's not up to scratch at the moment. It's a clear indication that Stephen Kenny doesn't fancy him in his first 11 anymore, because he doesn't play him the way previous managers did. So maybe his era is over. But as you say, I don't know, you can't be too harsh on a meter, but that's probably one he should have snuffed out before the cross was coming in. But then again, we were playing with Fire Roy around that stage, that kind of 85 to 95 minutes where we were just allowing them almost to get that extra pass or extra cross in. And I think, again, as the Irish public, were not uncomfortable with seeing us defend headers. Just in this scenario, even the second goal, your man didn't even look up when he crossed the ball in for Ronaldo. He had his head down, he just crossed it. And listen, there's a reason why you're one of the greatest ever, because you're like a magnet. It just came to him and he made a little step inside Coleman. You could be a little critical of Coleman or whoever was trying to defend in front of him, but look, that's football at the end of the day. We couldn't defend whatever it was, the 15 or 20 crosses that came in.
Yeah, I think I might be a little bit good, because I was shouting at the telly, don't let him cross it, don't let him cross, don't let him. Yeah. And of course, when they score from it, then you think you're a world-class manager. Okay, Dave, when you look at this Ireland squad, you look what Stephen Kenny's trying to put together. Nathan alluded to, you got to let him see it till the end of this campaign. Do you see it that maybe he deserves more? Is this a building process like Mick McCarthy, where it took him 3 terms to try and get something together, and that you're not going to do this over one campaign?
100%. But the difference is McCarthy was able to get a few results. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm Team Kenny, by the way, and plus the players he was bringing in were people like Robbie Keane and Damien Duff, lads. Like, we're bringing in a not nowhere near that caliber. but we were missing out on, like, remember the Macedonia game and a few players, like, we were just unlucky. So it was like, oh, unlucky, yeah, but we've done enough. While I want them, by the way, but we could end up with 5 losses and 2 wins and 3 draws, and we're fourth, and we're kind of behind Luxembourg, and we're going, should we give them another campaign? Personally, I would, because I think it can click, and if we get lucky with 1 or 2 of these guys really coming to the fore. But will the clamour for results kind of put pressure on the FAI? And that's what I fear, and I've said it a few times. Like, this campaign, we could end up fourth behind Luxembourg if we don't turn things around. Like, Saturday's huge in the sense that we should be beating them. We're at home, and the way he plays is the reason why I want us to play, because I think we should be more comfortable against these teams and beat them instead of how we win ugly against them over the last 10 years. So it's just, I said this before Luxembourg, and look what happened. So it's just, the results will kick in, and he'll be under pressure, but it's just whether they are strong enough to stick around, to keep him in it, because the way I think he's playing is the right way. Like, it's a question of the personnel, because even if we played our negative way with this, I don't think the results will be much better, because that's just my feeling, and I'd rather go out this way. But eventually, my fear is it's going to have to start clicking a few results. He needs to.
Have you seen players though, Dave, improve in the team?
Yes, there's a couple of players definitely getting more comfortable. Even Matt Doherty, although it's not left,
probably his best game.
Probably his best game. Obviously, Coleman, the 2 boys seem quite happy with it. The back 3 were a lot more tighter tonight, so the defensive side of things is getting sharp. And as everyone knows, that's where you start. Midfield, Cullen did 1 or 2 kind of clever passes, but I think he was more of a shield. Hendrick, there's 3 or 4 players could all do the same job. He's just the one in it at the minute. Is he future for me? No. McGrath didn't do himself any wrong today. But it was Adamida, obviously it's his best game by a long shot, and if we were able to be a bit more clever, I think, in the subs and replacing Connolly and McGrath earlier, he could have still had some support, and we might have snuck that second one, because they were going all out, and we might have been a bit lucky and got that second goal and put it to bed altogether. The young guys that come through have had a taste under them, and the way they play nowadays during their academies and into senior is getting a lot more based about how he wants to play. So therefore, I think it can and should work. But as regards the old guard, you can start to see a few of them starting to slot in and play in a way. And that game tonight could have really helped Kenny with the old guard more so than the new guard to go, Jesus, maybe, yeah, we would have lost this easily before. We'd have never created chances or looked a bit dangerous. Like Pepe, it was great. Like, I know he's 38, but it was great watching him getting nervy and getting pushed around a bit in the first half, and we wouldn't do that with the O'Neills and Trapattoni's. We'd play for corners and throw-ins with putting Johnny Walters out right wing, who should never be out there, long ball, hoping to win a throw so he can send in the long ball. That's what we were playing like. But it was going to be by luck. Well, tonight, the goal didn't come from luck. It's because of how we wanted to play. And as I said, the old guard might just say, yeah, there's something in what he does here, and let's throw in behind this and help the guys coming through. And hopefully the second half gets us enough results that the people who are the detractors will kind of hold fire, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it's Azerbaijan next to Luxembourg won tonight, so that's more points on their count. Nathan, if they did let go of Stephen Kenny at the end of this campaign, how would that help the country, how the team? How would that help it, or would it help it, or is it just going to knock us back to where we were anyhow?
Yeah, we were talking there a few minutes ago, and I was thinking I was going to just throw it out. I don't think anyone would do a better job with what's there at the moment. There's nobody you could even think of at the minute, isn't there, that's out of work that could come in and make a huge difference. And it'd probably go back to the backward steps, especially if you go down the route of not bringing somebody in that's Irish. You bring in like an international manager or an English manager to just associate Ireland with long ball football. You probably just go back to that system of grinding out results, holding out for scrappy draws or scrappy wins. And while Knight's ideas are bitterly disappointing for the results, it's the positivities going forward, and it's what you can see in terms of the younger players coming through, and like even Dave was saying, the improvements of how some of the older lads are slotting into this system. So yeah, for me now, there's no one at the minute now. I don't know if any of you have any names, but yeah, I don't see anybody at the minute that could come in.
Neil does.
Not do
Neil does,
better.
Neil does. Frank Lampard, Neil?
Yeah, there you go. Bring him in. he's sitting waiting patiently for a job at the moment. No, look, I totally agree with what you're saying. Look, lads, we've been waiting long enough, a decade or more now. You went through Trapattoni, you went through Martin O'Neill. We're playing at least the way we want to play. So the proof is in the pudding now. He does need results to keep him alive.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. But I do hope they stick with him. And I also hope he's successful. And if it does happen that he doesn't have the best of campaigns, at the very least, we need to replace him with someone that's going to play the same style of football and try get a little bit more out of him at the very least.
Yeah. There mustn't be much on television tonight because Jill texted in. She said Ireland played one of their best games in a long time, really came together. I do, however, feel there were definitely some sort of conspiracy going on. I agree with her. She must have been listening to me between the ref and Ronaldo. Very strange behaviour. It doesn't seem, anyhow. The ref maybe should go Specsavers, or we could go a little deeper and darker, but we probably won't because we'll just say allegedly before everything, I think. But
well, ask Jill to bring up some tinfoil. We start making tinfoil hats for it. Yeah.
Right, we're going to leave it at that. Dave, just before we finish off, we've got 2 more games to go, of course. Is this game going to give us some positivity, or will it drain us? Because it again, for the show we started, it kicked us in the nuts. It really took the wind out of our sails. Which way is it going to go for this Irish team?
Yeah, look, it's one of them maybe where you maybe let them stew tonight. I don't know. I think because it's such a punch in the gut, I wouldn't kind of start banging the drum straight away in the dressing room. Maybe when they get back, if there's a bite to eat or something, and say, listen, have your moment tonight, but tomorrow morning we've a match to win on Saturday, let's not piss about, something maybe along them lines. Because straight away, if you go in trying to put something on it, Ted Lasso style, somebody might end up decking you. You know what I mean? It might be the wrong time. Even I don't think Ted could get them out of this rough for at least a half an hour. So maybe let it stew until they get back to the hotel or something, or just before they take off and say, right, have your mope tonight, boys. We've got a job to do after tonight's performance. Don't ruin it by wasting this chance to push on Saturday.
Neil, he has to win on Saturday, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, he's no choice now, and it's terrible when they're back against the wall. But if you want to progress in the group, we need to start putting points on, and you can't turn them down against Azerbaijan. You have to get off with your best performance at home. Home form is crucial. If we go out and we play with that kind of attitude, that freedom, we will create chances where we score them. I guess the proof be in the pudding. But just hope that he gets a win that he deserves. I think after tonight, we deserve a little bit of luck as well after the way that ended. Yeah,
I definitely think so. Mick thinks so as well. Needs that win just to keep that positivity going, because the play is excellent at the moment. Albeit a little bit of Nathan. I'm going to finish off with you. There is a little bit of overplaying the ball, which is getting us into sticky situations, and that would be something that I would be looking at this Irish team and saying, okay, that's all fine and well to try and pass the ball out, but you've got to be smart and clever when you know that you're getting closed down and boxed off, that it has to go a little bit longer, not necessarily aimlessly longer, but maybe intelligently longer.
I'm assuming the first thing we all thought about was, again, going back to the penalty in the first 10 minutes. It's the first thing you're told, isn't it? Don't do anything stupid in the first 10, 15 minutes of a game. And presumably playing the ball out to Hendricks, probably in terms of football, probably the least comfortable on the ball in that midfield three. So, yeah, look, this is all little nitpick frustrations that you can see, but it's getting there. It's definitely getting there. But yeah, look, I think even the art of playing around the back, it's something that's overdone now in football, isn't it? You see it on a weekly basis blown up in teams' faces, and if you don't have the players that are seemingly comfortable, especially centre-half or centre midfielders that are comfortable receiving the ball with someone breathing down the neck, and yeah, it should be a tactic that you should be avoiding.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it there. It's we've lost against Luxembourg. We have now been beaten with a minute to go by Portugal, and yes, we're still coming out of a show positive about the future. It's very confusing altogether. Okay, Thanks very much, Neil, Dave, Nathan, and everyone who's watched tonight.